Have you ever walked into a room, maybe it was a high-stakes job interview, a pitch to a terrifying client, or even just a first date that you really wanted to go well, and suddenly you felt small? I do not mean physically small. I mean that sinking, shrinking feeling in your gut where your mind goes blank. You know you are qualified. You know you are smart. You rehearsed your lines in the mirror a dozen times. But the moment the spotlight hit you, the version of you that is capable and charming just vanished, replaced by someone awkward, shaky, and terrified. You leave that room 10 minutes later, and the second the door closes, the perfect answer finally pops into your head. You think to yourself, why could I not just say that in the moment? Why did I freeze? We usually tell ourselves a really harsh story when this happens. We say we choked. We say we are not cut out for this. We spiral into that dark place of imposter syndrome, convincing ourselves that we are frauds, and it is only a matter of time before everyone finds out. But what if I told you that that spiral has nothing to do with your actual talent or your intelligence? What if the problem is not in your mind, but in your body? Today, we are going to dive deep into a concept that might just change the way you exist in this world. We are exploring the profound insights from the book Presence by social psychologist Amy Cuddy. You might know her from her viral TED talk, but the book goes so much deeper. The core thesis here is startlingly simple yet revolutionary. We tend to think our brain tells our body what to do. We think, I am happy, so I smile. I am confident, so I stand up straight. But Cuddy argues that it works the other way round too. Your body tells your brain who you are. And if you can learn to hack that communication loop, you can fundamentally change the trajectory of your life. To understand why this matters, we have to look at Amy Cuddy's own story, because it is the ultimate underdog narrative. It is the kind of story that reminds us that our broken pieces are often where our strength comes from. When Amy was 19 years old, she was a sophomore in college. She was identified as the gifted kid, the smart one. That was her identity. That was her currency in the world. But then, she was in a horrific car accident. She was thrown from the vehicle, rolling multiple times. She woke up in a hospital with a severe traumatic brain injury. Doctors told her that her IQ had dropped by 30 points. Imagine that. The one thing she defined herself by, her intelligence, was stripped away overnight. They told her she would likely not finish college. They told her to lower her expectations for her life. She felt like she had lost her soul. She felt, quite literally, present, but absent. She struggled with processing information. Friends drifted away because she was not the smart Amy anymore. It took her 4 extra years just to finish her undergraduate degree. She was fighting a battle that felt impossible because she no longer believed in her own potential. Yet, fast forward to today, and that same woman who was told she had no future in academia is a professor at Harvard Business School. Her research has been featured in Time magazine and on CNN. She is listed as one of the 50 women who are changing the world. How did she bridge that gap? How do you go from brain-damaged and hopeless to a world-leading thought leader? It was not just about studying harder. It was about a slow, gradual shift in how she carried herself physically, which eventually rewired how she saw herself mentally. This brings us to the core concept of the book, presence. Now, presence is a word we throw around a lot, usually meaning someone has charisma. But in this context, presence is something more specific. It is the ability to access your true skills, your true personality, and your true values when you are under immense pressure. It is the state of being attuned to and able to comfortably express your true thoughts, feelings, values, and potential. When we lack presence, we are usually stuck in a battle between two selves. First, there is the authentic self. This is who you are when you are with your best friend at 2 a.m, or when you are lost in a hobby you love. It is relaxed, sharp, and honest. Then there is the public self. This is the mask. This is the version of you that shows up to the family Thanksgiving dinner prepared to dodge questions about your career or your dating life. It is the version of you that curates a LinkedIn profile to look like the perfect corporate soldier. When we are too focused on the public self, constantly scanning the room to see what people think of us, terrified of being judged, we release a flood of cortisol, the stress hormone, into our systems. This chemical literally shuts down the parts of our brain responsible for executive function, creativity, and memory. That is why you forget your lines. That is why you feel like a deer in headlights. You are not stupid, you are chemically compromised. The tragedy is that most of us are walking around with a low-level hum of anxiety, constantly in this high cortisol state. We are reacting to emails, Slack notifications, and social expectations as if they were tigers chasing us in the jungle. We build walls around ourselves. We adopt the American dream script: go to college, get the debt, get the job, buy the house, not because it is what our authentic self wants, but because we are trying to satisfy an invisible audience. We see this manifested in something psychologists call the spotlight effect. This is a huge barrier to presence. There was a study done by Thomas Gilovich where he had students wear a really embarrassing, loud t-shirt into a crowded room. Later, he asked the students, "How many people do you think noticed your shirt?" The students guessed that at least 50% of the room was staring at them, judging them. The reality? Less than 25% of people even noticed they were there. We walk through life thinking we are the main character in everyone else's movie. We think everyone is analyzing our stutter, our outfit, or that slightly awkward thing we said. But the liberating truth is that everyone else is too busy worrying about themselves to worry about you. They are the main character in their own movie. When we realize that nobody is watching us as closely as we think, it frees us. But knowing that intellectually is different from feeling it biologically. The barrier to success is often this paradox. We feel we need to be successful before we can be confident. We think, once I get the promotion, then I will stand tall. Once I lose the weight, then I will feel worthy. We wait for external validation to give us internal permission to take up space. Amy Cuddy turns this on its head. She argues that you do not wait for success to bring confidence. You use confidence, specifically physical confidence, to generate success. It brings up the famous phrase, "Fake it till you make it." But in this context, we are going to upgrade that. It is not about faking it until you make it. It is about faking it until you become it. It is about using your body to send a signal to your nervous system that says, "I am safe. I am powerful. I belong here." And when you do that, your biology shifts. Your testosterone, the dominance hormone, goes up. Your cortisol goes down. And suddenly, the authentic self can step forward and take the wheel. So, how do we actually do this? How do we use our physical body to hack our brain chemistry? It starts with understanding the geometry of power. Let us try a quick thought experiment. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine you have just achieved the biggest goal currently on your horizon. Maybe you just opened that acceptance letter to your dream grad school. Maybe you just crossed the finish line of a marathon you have been training 6 months for. Maybe you just saw the numbers in your bank account hit a milestone you never thought possible. You have won. You are on top of the world. What does your body do in that split second of realization? I am willing to bet that your chin lifts up, your chest expands, And most importantly, your arms shoot up into the air in a V shape. It is the universal sign of victory. We see it everywhere, from a quarterback scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl to a stockbroker closing a massive trade on Wall Street. But here is the fascinating part. This is not something we learn from watching television. It is hardwired into our DNA. Amy Cuddy discusses a profound study involving congenitally blind athletes, people who have been blind since birth. They have never seen a picture of someone winning a race. They have never seen an Olympian stand on a podium. Yet, when they win a match at the Paralympics, they throw their arms up in that exact same V shape. They expand. They take up space. It is an instinctual, evolutionary response to feeling powerful. On the flip side, when we feel defeated, ashamed, or overwhelmed, we do the exact opposite. We collapse. We cross our arms. We hunch our shoulders. We touch our necks as if to protect our jugular vein. We make ourselves as small as possible, hoping the predator or the judgmental boss will not see us. The problem is that most of us are unconsciously living in that collapsed state, and we do not even realize it. We are not just reacting to how we feel, we are dictating how we feel by how we sit. Cuddy's research suggests that holding a high-power pose postures where you are open, expanded, and taking up space for just 2 minutes can trigger a hormonal shift. It can spike your testosterone, giving you the courage to take risks, and drop your cortisol, making you resilient to stress. So, here is the hack. Before you walk into that high-pressure salary negotiation, or before you have that difficult conversation with your partner, do not sit in the lobby hunched over your phone, scrolling through Instagram. That is a low-power pose, and it is priming your brain to be reactive and fearful. Instead, find a private space. This is what I call the bathroom stall strategy. Go into a bathroom stall, close the door, and stand like Wonder Woman or Superman for 2 minutes. Feet apart, hands on hips, chin up, or stretch your arms out wide like you just won the lottery. It sounds ridiculous. You might feel silly doing it, but in those 2 minutes, you are biologically hacking your system. You are telling your primal brain that you are the alpha in the room. When you walk back out to face the music, you will not just look more confident, you will actually process information more clearly, because your stress hormones are lower. If you cannot physically move, maybe you are stuck in a meeting, you can even do this mentally. Visualizing yourself in a powerful stance triggers similar neural pathways. However, we have to talk about the silent killer of confidence that is sitting in your pocket right now. We live in an era where we are constantly interacting with technology that demands we shrink. Think about your posture when you are texting, or when you are hunched over a laptop at a coffee shop. Shoulders rolled forward, neck craned down, chest collapsed. Psychologists have dubbed this I posture or tech neck. But beyond the spinal damage, think about what this is signaling to your brain. You are spending 8 to 10 hours a day in a submissive, low-power position. You might be reading a motivational quote on Twitter, but your body is telling your brain that you are under threat. This creates a feedback loop of anxiety. We wonder why we feel so drained and insecure after an hour of scrolling. It is not just the comparison trap of social media, it is the physical act of making yourself small that is depleting your personal power. We have to be intentional about breaking this cycle. We need to reclaim our physical space. When you are sitting at your desk, push your chair back. Stretch your legs out. Put your hands behind your head. Open up your chest. Occupy the space you deserve. This conversation about taking up space leads us to a sensitive but critical societal issue that the book addresses: the gender gap in body language. We are socialized differently from the time we are toddlers. If you watch children on a playground, little boys and little girls both run around with their arms wide open. But as we hit adolescence, the script changes. Society subtly and sometimes not so subtly teaches young men to expand. We see men spreading on the subway, men draping their arms over the backs of chairs, men standing with legs wide apart. They are conditioned to own the territory. Conversely, young women are often taught to condense. Sit like a lady. Cross your legs. Don't take up too much room. We see women in meetings wrapping their ankles around the legs of their chairs or clutching their elbows, physically folding into themselves. This is not just about etiquette, it is about power dynamics. When you condition half the population to physically shrink, you are conditioning them to psychologically yield. The research shows that women feel chronologically more exhausted and less powerful in corporate settings, and a significant part of that is this chronic physical contraction. Cuddy's message here is a call to arms, or rather, a call to spread your arms. We need to unlearn the social conditioning that tells us to be small. Whether you are a man who feels the weight of the world or a woman fighting to be heard in a boardroom, the advice is the same. Stop apologizing for your existence with your body. When you catch yourself shrinking, expand. When you catch yourself crossing your arms in a defensive posture, open them up. It is not just about you either. It is about the signal you send to the people around you. We co-regulate with others. When you are grounded, open, and present, you invite the people around you to feel safe enough to be authentic too. You change the energy of the room. But there is one final piece to this puzzle. We have talked about the body, but what about the face? What about the expressions we wear like a mask, and how they might be sabotaging our happiness before we even say a word? We often think of our faces as billboards. They advertise what is going on inside the store. If we are angry, we frown. If we are amused, we smile. If we are skeptical, we raise an eyebrow. We view our expressions as merely the end result of our emotions, the final output signal. But science is increasingly showing us that the dashboard works both ways. Your face is not just a billboard, it is also the control panel. This brings us to a fascinating area of psychological research known as the facial feedback hypothesis. It suggests that the relationship between emotion and expression is a two-way street. Just as the feeling of joy triggers the muscles in your cheeks to lift, the physical act of lifting those muscles can signal your brain to release dopamine and serotonin. You can literally trick your nervous system into happiness. There was a rather ingenious study conducted by researchers regarding this phenomenon, and it involved something as simple as a pencil. They gathered a group of participants and split them into two camps. They asked the first group to hold a pencil between their teeth. Now, if you try this right now, you will realize that to hold a pencil between your teeth without it touching your lips, you have to engage the same muscles used for a genuine smile. It forces your face into a grin. The second group was asked to hold the pencil between their lips, pointing straight out. This action recruits the muscles we use when we are frowning or pouting. Neither group was told this had anything to do with emotion. They thought they were testing motor skills. Then, the researchers showed both groups the exact same cartoons. The results were staggering. The people holding the pencil in their teeth, the forced smilers, found the cartoons significantly funnier and reported being in a better mood than the people holding the pencil with their lips. Think about the implications of that. The external world did not change. The cartoons were the same. The only variable was the physical arrangement of their facial muscles. This validates something wise grandmothers have been saying for generations. Grin and bear it. But it is not about suppressing pain. It is about manually jump-starting your joy. Conversely, consider the Botox effect that some modern psychologists are studying. When people Botox their frown lines, so they physically cannot scowl, reports suggest they actually experience less depression and anger. Why? Because they have broken the physical feedback loop of negativity. When you cannot physically embody the anger, the emotion has a harder time taking root in your brain. So, how do we apply this to our modern, high-stress lives? It means we have to stop waiting to feel like smiling. When you are in the middle of a stressful commute, or you are staring at a daunting spreadsheet, your natural instinct is to furrow your brow and clench your jaw. That physical tension is sending a distress signal to your brain, keeping you in fight or flight mode. You have to intervene. Consciously unclench your jaw, soften your eyes, force a slight smile if you have to. It is not about being fake for other people. It is about biohacking your own chemistry to stay calm and clear-headed. This brings us full circle to the ultimate message of Amy Cuddy's work and the conclusion of our journey today. We started by talking about the authentic self and the paralyzing fear of being a fraud. We talked about how we shrink physically when we feel mentally small. And we talked about how expanding our bodies can expand our minds. The critics of this philosophy often scream, "But isn't that lying? If I am scared but I stand like Superman, am I not just being inauthentic?" And this is where we need to make the critical distinction between faking it to trick others and faking it to teach yourself. When Amy Cuddy says, "Fake it until you become it," she is offering us a roadmap for evolution. We are all works in progress. The version of you that is confident, capable, and calm is not a lie. It is a potential reality waiting to be unlocked. When you adopt a high-power pose, or when you choose to smile through the difficulty, you are not lying about who you are. You are simply clearing the interference, the fear, the cortisol, the doubt, so that your true potential can actually breathe. You are acting your way into a new way of being. It is the same principle as training for a marathon. You run when you do not feel like a runner, until one day you cross the finish line and realize you are a runner. You stand tall when you do not feel like a leader, until one day you look around and realize people are following you because you are a leader. The beauty of this high-energy posture philosophy is its accessibility. You do not need $1 million. You do not need a PhD. You do not need permission from a gatekeeper. You carry the tool for your own liberation with you every single second of every single day. It is your body. So, here is the challenge I want to leave you with as we wrap up this campfire session. The next time the universe throws a curveball at you, and it will do not just let your mind spiral. Check your body. Are you collapsed? Are you making yourself small? Are you frowning at your phone? Stop. Breathe. Expand. Stand up. Put your hands on your hips. Lift your chin. Smile, even if it feels ridiculous. Hold it for 2 minutes. Watch how the storm in your mind begins to settle. Watch how the narrative shifts from "I can't handle this" to "I am here and I am ready." Success is not just about what you know or who you know. It is about how you show up. It is about occupying your space in the world without apology. The world needs your voice, your ideas, and your presence. But we cannot hear you if you are hiding in the corner. So take up space. Spread your wings. You have already earned the right to be here. Now, let your body believe it. Thank you for hanging out with me on the Underdog Podcast tonight. I really hope this perspective shifts something for you the way it did for me. I am genuinely curious. What is one specific situation in your life where you notice yourself shrinking or losing confidence? Is it public speaking? First dates? family gatherings. Let me know in the comments below. I read them all, and I would love to hear your story. If this conversation added value to your day, hit that like button so we can spread this message to more people who need to hear it. And make sure you are subscribed so we can continue these deep dives together. Until next time, stand tall.